at an angle, like an air fireball in Street Fighter.
Yes. And it also explodes on the ground and catches everything on fire.
Yes. And if you get hit by one of those, you get hit by a lot of them, and then an up air, which hurts a lot because those things hit like smash attack.
Absolutely. That'll kill.
Yeah. So we get into it.
Mr. Sir did pretty well.
It seems like,
I mean,
just from the very beginning of this, it looks like it's going to be kind of like I try to keep you out with projectiles kind of game, right?
Yep.
So try to put the
both.
onus on Pit to approach, just because your projectiles are so much better. But yeah.
But I mean, on the other side, we've seen FatGirlz do pretty. Yeah, sorry, FatGirlz do pretty well with the sword, and get some good damage in there. Against somebody, I don't remember. I think it was Pritai. Was doing pretty well.
So got hit by the arc fire into the up air.
So as we see, the small advantage, or the small game plan at least, is paying off for the Robin. Building up a small advantage as we head into these first lives. But stock taking off. Still early stages, both players figuring it out, trying to figure out exactly what they're trying to do here. But advantage coming up early a little bit in favor of FatGirlz. Anything you're seeing so far that you weren't expecting or that you're noticing is going to impact this matchup a lot?
I'm trying to look at what ranges they want to play at, right? So it seems that FatGirlz is most comfortable with like establishing some kind of advantage before approaching. So they have their like, okay, I guess reflected that just kills. So maybe the game plan is going to change, but it seemed like just shooting little electric fireballs to like kind of establish an advantage and then move in off of those.
Keeping distance, plan for something stronger, and then once you see your moment, being able to take advantage.
Like right there, hit the electric, you saw the shield, immediately shoots out the arc fire and keeps them locked in shield and then attacks them from there. And this is a huge amount of percent coming off of it, and it's still going on. Like this pressure is still going. He gets out with the Pit armored forward B, but
and we see how much this onus is really falling on the Pit to make something happen, to try and pick the moments and find the engagements and be smart about how they're being careful, but also how they're being aggressive.
You can see right there they got hit by the arc fire on their shield, and there was a quick adaptation. Last time they just held shield and took it, and this time they rolled away because last time they got grabbed and it led to a lot of damage. And that was a good defensive adaptation, but then they're still stuck in the corner, and the pressure sequence starts from having the fireball touch your shield at all, right? It just gives you enough advantage to be able to move in safely, even though you're a slower character, and your moves perhaps aren't as big or as fast.
Absolutely. So we are seeing this strong advantage starting to build up for FatGirlz. Also pushed down to that 100% mark, and potentially Spring to play with if the Pit is able to start working together. This correct, way to find engagements, way to like stall some of that pressure that's coming out of the Robin.
Yeah, it seems as though Rapscallion is pretty comfortable with staying back and shooting arrows and pulling out the reflector to try and like counter some of the camping and say like, no, I'm not going to camp, you have to come to me as well.
Absolutely.
But I'm not sure that it's working out too well. They're taking a lot of damage for it because eventually, like, they have projectiles that are going to come at more angles than yours, and when they hit, they're getting way more advantage off of it. Like, you see this whole interaction just because of the fight between the arrow and the arc fire. The arc fire is just going to put you in more, like, it directly is going to hit you more times, and therefore will be lingering for longer and give more advantage to the Robin.
So the kind of thing that I'm wondering at this point is, because we do see this advantage that's coming out, I'm starting to think ahead towards maybe map 2. Is a map selection in favor of the Robin going to, or in favor of the Pit, pardon me, going to alleviate some of this pressure and help make it a different matchup and change the scope of how we see this game play out?
You could say that on a smaller stage, but I'm not sure that that's as much of an issue as just the adaptation that's been happening, which is just
within the
keep it closer,
themselves.
right?
Absolutely.
Like, you can see the average distance that the Pit is trying to stay at. They shoot a few arrows, but the distance is like a lot closer.
Right. Absolutely.
And they're trying to basically make sure that the arc fire into down smash. What a combo.
Not able to hang on the ledge.
But
I think he was just
essentially
waiting that out.
That was working out, right? Like the comeback started. So The
combat
pit-
really did start. We did see it go all the way to those last lives from both players, over 100% on each one of them, and it seemed like the pit was able to start figuring out how to play the matchup a little bit better.
Yeah, being a little closer just lets you react to a lot more options, right? And I don't mean like being closer gives you more time to react, of course it doesn't. But if you react to, say, an arc fire and you're close enough, you can run under it, as opposed to just having it fall in front of you and then you're like, okay, damn, I guess I just gotta deal with this. And Robin
Exactly.
encroaches on that space.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
kind of figuring out the matchup at that point.
Yep.
Not entirely, of course. Like, there's still a lot of mix-ups to be played. Like, but I definitely agree
that's the wrong
that
Falco. My
the
bad,
Falco
my bad.
switch could be good. As we see it come out right here, because it was getting a lot closer at the end.
Absolutely.
And there were a few circumstances where an edge guard could have closed it out. And when you're playing 3 recovery mix-ups and winning them on your last stock, trying to rely on that to win, it's maybe not the best look.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so in this matchup,
Absolutely. What's this change-up going to switch for things here?
I think that Falco is definitely a lot better up close, but Pit has a lot better burst options because his dash attack and his grab are really good because of just his general dash speed, and Pit's going to be really good at edge guarding Falco. We saw him take like 60 damage off of the first throw off of off the stage, just off of like catching Falco illusions side Bs to the stage.
Falco has 2 recovery options, and they're both very linear and very predictable.
Yeah, so mixing him up is very difficult, especially against a character like Hit, who has long lingering hitboxes like that Nair and that forward air, and has a lot of jumps, so he can kind of position himself wherever he wants to be to edge guard. But at the same time, you have to mention that Falco's buttons, like his up tilt and his forward air and his back air on stage, a lot of times are gonna just outpace hits. They're gonna be better. So the onus is on Pit to really make sure to dash around and like keep the space like at a comfortable distance, so you don't have to worry about the up smash like that and the up tilt really taking advantage of you. Of course, that up smash is just catching a landing off of like an earlier neutral win, but trying to keep yourself far enough away that you don't have to worry about the up tilt coming out to like beat your move is very important.
And so that looks like something we're starting to see as a theme that's coming out of this match is the onus being on the Pit to make things happen in the right way.
Yeah, and I think that's just because the character isn't very strong. Like, they have really good attributes. They have a great dash speed, they have a lot of jumps, and they're good at edge guarding, but I mean, they're going to have to really rely on that dash speed and holding the distances that they want to play in, otherwise they're not going to be winning, right? Like, Falco can force you, like, with a falling Nair into up tilt, just up tilt and neutral, forward air falling into up tilt or down tilt. A lot of, like, very powerful options that, if they hit, the Falco gets a lot off of it.
Absolutely.
Pit, as you can see, punishes that with a grab and gets a throw. And, like, sure, you can set up for an edge guard situation, but it's not going to do as much damage or lead into, like, combo kills as often as Falco.
Absolutely. You're
But
not
perhaps
getting
we
your
do see
solid.
that the Pit is able to manage this sort of pressure and this onus a little better than we maybe saw in map 1. Now up just a life, but still sitting on that 144% means, just seeing what he can do left with this one.
Yeah.
But is managing to make it a little more effective than we maybe saw in that map 1.
Absolutely.
I think Falco, of all characters, also plays into Pit's strengths a little bit, right? Because he's one of the characters in this game that you can really edge guard, and not all characters are like that.
Absolutely.
Like, you'll see Pokemon Trainer, Pit will have a really hard time edge guarding because of their ability to switch. You can see Joker with the tether. You can see etc., etc., etc. But Falco kind of has a linear recovery, as you were saying before, with just those 2 options, and you can cover one and then be ready for the other 2. So there tried to go for the 2-frame to really get a lot of damage on, and I can't blame you when you're at 170 for just going for something like that.
Right.
Making a risky play, trying to put up this advantage, and we do see this advantage coming through.
A little bit of a taunt coming out.
Oh, boy.
So
Keeping it interesting. Not backing down yet.
Absolutely.
this is unfortunate. Ever since the taunt, he's done nothing to get body. Oh! But then the
fact of
up
the
B
D.
misses. Just a slight missed angle. Oh, not quite the taunt to get bodied, but it was looking like it for a second.
Absolutely.
Playing with
All right, that makes
fire
it
there. 1-1 for
And a
1-1
best of
for each
5.
player. And now we are heading into this third map. Everything easy, even. We'll see if.
Where do you think they're going?
Well, I
Where do
don't.
you think they're going? What's your guess?
I
My guess is
have no
Battlefield.
idea.
I guess Battlefield.
I don't know what the maps are. So.
Who do you think they're
Unfortunately.
playing?
They're going to Pokemon Stadium. I was wrong.
Who do you think they're playing?
That's what I was going to say. This is the interesting
question.
question for me. The Robin had success in game 1. The Falco had no success in game 2. Will we see the switch back to the Robin, or will they stick with the Falcon?
I really think it's up to preference because both of them had really clear ways to win and lose both the games that happened. So
Absolutely, both games going down to the wire, final lives. But we do see the adaptation back
Yeah.
to the Robin.
And I think that this makes sense, right? Like, even in the parts of the game where Rapscallion was really figuring out how to play neutral at the end, the general, like, comfort with the neutral looked a lot better for the Robin compared to the Falco. Of course,
Absolutely.
once you're getting pressured, and you're just going to keep getting hit until you can finally reset, which does happen, but a
Disadvantage is
71% lead
disadvantage.
is pretty strong.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see that, like, perhaps, you know, because I think a lot of the strength that came out for the Robin in that game 1 was a product of some early
What was that?
advantages.
Dummy. Robin's got a command grab,
Yeah.
which is pretty helpful, but not as powerful as Bowser's just because it doesn't do very much damage.
Yep. Should we heal
Robin
them?
is a pretty explosive character, which is a funny thing to say when you see such a
very
like
nice,
slow
that's right.
character, but
This is a save check because why would you hit that save check and able to get a kill off of it?
So, a solid 1 stock up advantage we see coming in so far, but still 90% means this is
Oh.
very, very much in
what a mix.
close. And either player, very capable. A lot of things happening.
Yeah, and the
Clean kill
arc fire
there.
at the edge just getting
Yeah.
so much pressure up and
I mean,
saying, like, I
absolutely.
am going to have the advantage here.
What
You get to down smash, and the worst thing that happens is, like, you don't kill.
Right.
You're not going to get punished for it because of the arc fire being so potent at the ledge.
It covers everything except
And-
roll. Jump's gonna get caught in it if you drop down.
The
you're
down
gonna get caught
smash
in it.
positioned right might even cover roll. It won't kill, but
Uh-huh.
But that clean kill on that first
Oh.
stock of pit means that we are back to a very, very close game. Both players, you know, just so close to each other in terms of
sick.
lives, in terms of how they're able to navigate things. And we'll see if either player is able to sort of build an advantage. One with a strong hit there.
so the Arc Thunder, the more charged up version of this little electric ball, that purple one that we just saw,
Right.
moves a lot slower. So shooting that one will lock them down in the same way the Arc Fire does, except it's way better. You just have to charge it for a lot longer, and it moves straight forward.
Yeah.
So what we saw there was they shot that out in hopes of gaining some pressure, but just in case the Reflect came out, they jumped over where the Arc Thunder would come. So they are able to get past the Arc Thunder and also
Oh, that's unfortunate.
punish it. That's an unfortunate SD at the
Head-
end of game 3.
End up under the stage there.
But it would be
Not
wrong to
able to
say
recover from
that
that.
the game went differently. The pressure was on.
Yep.
There was a lot of, like,
Absolutely.
every time Rapscallion found himself in the corner, they were taking a ton of damage or losing their stock.
And so maybe that means that this Robin is something that we will expect to see more of. Like, maybe it is the answer and the way to play this matchup that, like, that FatGirlz needs to help navigate this here.
I would expect so. I think that Hit is, you know, like, not the strongest character, but can do pretty well against Falco. And we see the Dark Hit coming out. What a switch. Now the forward B is different.
No! However, will this change the matchup?
So this is a little bit interesting because the arrows are stronger. I mean, it's really not going to change much, but
Right.
the only way that Rapscallion has been using arrows are to either do that, just hit one off of a nair off stage to get a little extra damage, or to say, you're shooting your little thunderball, I want to send my arrow with you. So an arrow that doesn't really get to bend but does a little more is probably a little bit better.
Okay,
But
so it
it's a
doesn't get to
marginal change, as switching from pit to dark pit always is.
Yes.
Oh, it bends way more weakly, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it sends almost straight entirely. You can bend it a little up and down. It
Yep.
hurts a little more. And the forward B sends forward instead of up, which means that it's going to be a kill move earlier if you can find an opportune place to use it. But I don't know how you're going to when you're getting walled out by so many projectiles and this huge sword. Like you can see, they fade all the way back there, and because Pit doesn't immediately take up the screen space, they are forced to stay where they are by the arc fire. So unless you're really capitalizing on all of your little victories, where you like gain a little bit of space, you're just going to be stuck where you are.
That being said, up on got a percent lead.
Yeah,
30%.
That's true.
All
Really
you
doing a
don't-
good job of, even though they're getting locked down, using their buttons to preemptively strike and make sure that they aren't getting hit, right? So like, they'll see the arc fire. This happened in game 1 too, at the very end when the adaptation was coming. And as Robin approaches, we saw Rapscallion use a down smash to wall them out. And right there,
Phenomenally
you can
spaced there.
see a fade back here to do the exact same thing. Say, I know you're going to come in because you have the advantage here technically, but I'm going to read you coming in. So the adaptation is to shoot an arc fire and then run forward and shoot another one. Because you're moving back to catch me coming in, I'm just going to gain my advantage even farther towards your corner of the stage. And now that we're in the oh my god, that's so
We're out of
whack.
arc fire now, though.
The sword
So-
ran out and it flew up and knocked him back into the corner even though he got out. That makes me disgusted. And if
That's
it was
like kinda
intentional, I take everything back and it was awesome.
And arc fire is back after that time waiting.
Yeah.
And the sword is back too.
So
Yeah.
as we jump back into this, you know, solid, well, a decent advantage, but not a huge one, taking us just 20%, just very close between these two players.
Yeah, and
on map 3.
that's-
map 4, pardon me.
Really interesting is once you get the arc fire in the corner, the rollback adaptation that was being used before doesn't exist because there's nowhere to roll back to.
Exactly.
So you just have to take it and then you take the down smash, you either spot dodge and die, you roll in and die, you shield and then
Die.
maybe your shield breaks and you die.
Right.
Or get caught.
So it's really like finding a way to deal with these arc fires before the pressure gets to you. See, that's unfortunate. Reading the roll back, which was the adaptation to beat those moves that are going to gain you a lot of frame advantage, and shooting an arc fire, and it's not even frame advantage at that point, it's just a combo into the kill.
And now Rapscallion's going to need to find something really strong to just clean up this map.
So getting into that corner, that was great, right? They jump
Absolutely.
over the arc fire onto the platform and run in. And they used the platform to basically say, I'm not going to deal with your arc fire on the ground, I'm just going to completely bypass it and get in. So these platforms on the sides are being pretty helpful for Rapscallion in like navigating neutral.
Absolutely. So, strong game, so close. Anything could happen, but we do have to remember that Rapscallion is down the map and does have to come up with a big win here to even take us to that map 5.
That's
so
true.
pressure absolutely on the pit, but definitely within a position to make that happen.
Oh, but the mix-ups are all going in the way of the Robin. Just pretending to shoot a fireball there, but instead running in and grabbing the reflector. The run-up nair, great to stuff out the option, and now has to make something big off of this, but unfortunately for Rapscallion, FatGirlz gets out of the corner. And now
it's fine.
the roles have been reversed, re-grab the ledge, no invincibility, and down smash is gonna take it.
And FatGirlz takes us at 3-1.
1.
Very impressive.
Very nice.
I gotta run for this.
Like, I didn't get hit.
Yeah,
Your left hand, your
That's
ability
smart.
is still active for some reason. I don't know why.
That's
Sometimes
awful.
the more times you grab the ledge, the more active your less active your invincibility is.
I know less time.
So you probably had a fresh. Huh?
I know the time you spend off that.
Yeah. Time you spend on.
I hate that.
Maybe I should like double jump into it. Like
If you went go
Yeah.
hit, like re-grab ledge. That's everywhere.
I mean, but if you do that double jump, then like you're just playing a mix-up of if you're gonna get down smash.
Get hit and then SDI down immediately. See if I can like get out of it.
I didn't hear you at all.
Can you let me